still learning these things. Good morning again, and welcome. And I was going to start with an appreciation to Reverend Kathy for the talk, for the lesson was so wonderful. I actually listened to it twice, or watched it. It's great. It's like on YouTube. It's so cool. It's like right there. There she was. So thank you for that, for the wonderful lesson that supported the theme for this month, which is starting here, starting now. And here we are on the how in the world did we get to the last Sunday of January already in the first new year? I don't know, but we're here. So I want to remind you on this last Sunday that the theme for this year is passion and purpose. Passion and purpose. And so today, it may surprise you, that the topic title is Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace. Yeah, I know. We all know that phrase because we're used to it from you hear it traditionally in marriage ceremonies from the Common Book of Prayer or, mostly movies. All right, is there anyone here who has just cause, blah, 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 speak now, forever hold your peace. And I don't know what triggered that for me other than I knew we have our community town hall meeting today where you have an opportunity to speak. And I was thinking about the alliteration and the play on that, speak now or forever hold your peace. And it used to be speak your piece, P-I-E-C-E, speak your piece, if you have something to say, an opinion, an essay, something about that. But then I started thinking about it, and it's really up to me, being the religious scientist, it's really about speaking, affirming, knowing your peace. To be able to speak your truth is what will give you your peace. So today is about speak your peace, P-E-A-C-E, so that you are speaking your truth. Because if you do not speak your truth, both outside to the world or within, which is the most important one, you will not be at peace. We need to speak the truth that is within us. We need to speak our intentions, our desires, our feelings. Now, I'm not talking about, Reverend Duchess just gave me permission to be like a, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about speaking the truth that is within your heart and your soul so that you are at peace, so that you are a peaceful being wherever you go and whatever you do. I was thinking about that in the sense of, I'm going to mention something. I was going to mention the town hall, but I don't know who's staying for that. So I want to say that one of the things, there's an opportunity now to speak our truth about what's going on with the drought. And I know of a lot of my colleagues, and reading in the listserv, there are people doing rain dances and rain prayers, and and we could have a drumming circle and rain thing. And we've talked about it in a couple of classes throughout this week. And so, yes, I want rain. I'd like that. But what I want to do is speak a piece about the fact that I believe our prayers should be about healing the drought, not just praying for rain. That's what makes us as religious scientists different. I want our prayers, our consciousness, to be a truth of peace, both spellings, about the idea of healing what's behind something called a drought. And if rain is the delicious byproduct, so be it, amen, and thank you. So it's an opportunity to speak our truth in a loving, conscious manner so that we are at peace. That's what today is going to be about. And again, it's January, and I talked about at the beginning how we usually do the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind textbook. And in the beginning was the Word, whether it's the thing itself, which is what Ernest refers to as God, the presence, the way it works, what it does, or how to use it. That's what we get to do, using our principles of science of mind, as summarized in the first 4 chapters, to speak our intentions, to speak our truth, so that we may be at peace, whether it's about something like the drought or it's about something about our passion and our purpose. Because too many times, a lot of us were brought up where it's not safe, appropriate. The right thing to do is to speak out. And we do need to speak our truth, first and foremost to ourselves, and then into the law, the creative law of science of mind, so that it outpictures in that which we are desiring. Ernest says, the life we live is the universal life expressing through us. Our thought and emotion, whether they're conscious or unconscious, is the use we make of the original creative thing that is the cause of everything. This thing, the thing itself, we know it as God, life, infinite intelligence. The thing then works for us by working through us and is us always. Always. So our beliefs, our ideas, and our intentions outpicture and set that principle. And sometimes when we're going to the law, we sit down in our meditation, our prayer practice, and we're going to the law about what we want and what we desire. There's a part of us, I think, that brings a thimble to the well. And I'm encouraging us this year with passion and with purpose to bring a bucket so that we are bringing forth into the creative law of mind that vessel that will contain that which we desire. But we sometimes like, oh, could I just have a little bit of this, God? Would you mind? Would you mind if we could have just a little bit of that? I'm worthy of that. But sometimes we forget or we don't think that we can bring a bigger vessel to bring our greater good. And whatever it is, our old belief system, again, conscious or unconscious, whatever our old belief systems were, that's usually what outpictures in the container of what we put into spirit to say, this is what I desire. This is my truth. This is my peace. Can I have this piece? A little piece? A little piece? I want a bigger piece. I want a bigger piece of the pie to have a bigger piece of the soul. That's what we get to do together. That's what we do as a community. That's why we set an intention for a theme for the year. That's why we have the classes and we have the affirmations every week. Things that help you, tools, because not everything's going to fit the same time, but tools by which you can help to create the world that you want and bring a beautiful, maybe you don't want a thimble, maybe you don't want a bucket, but maybe you want a beautiful vase. Something lovely to place under the faucet of infinity to bring forth your good. You get to choose. We get to choose. And we get to speak our piece, and in that piece we get to design, we get to craft, we get to color, the texture, all of that. Because we are these creative beings. We are one with the Creator. And we get to do that together. So, I was thinking about how we have to change that. And I went back to Joe Dispenza, wonderful man who, you know him from his books and from The Secret and all that. And in his current book, The Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which if you think about it, great title, isn't it? You know, in some ways you go, yeah. And then you go, oh, yeah. You want to break the habit of being yourself. Well, on one hand, you're talking about be yourself, be who you are, be authentic, be real. And then on the other hand, it's like break the habit of being that only if your habits, which create your life and what you outpicture, are defeating you or interfering with being your real self. So he's got this whole book. He's an extraordinary writer, wonderful man, very spiritual about how he does it. And he's really just saying, you have to change the way you think. Wow, wonder where he heard that. You have to change the way you think in order to change your life. Well, we knew that. Ernest Holmes said that. Oh, in fact, okay, slight digression. You know how I get sometimes about the fact that Ernest doesn't get due credit for, what he did to the New Thought movement in terms of change your thinking, change your life, and how everybody has done some iteration of that. Well, somebody gave me a sample product this week. There's a new company. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want it to sound like I'm either supporting it or not supporting it. But they wanted me to try it because, oh gosh, it's kind of a coffee with stuff to make you focus. So it's a product that you can either have for weight loss or for focus. And it comes in coffee or tea. So I don't know why they thought of me. But anyway, on their little sample packet, because I said, well, I'm really pure about what I drink and eat, so I got to know what ingredients, blah, blah. I got to try it first. And so they gave me a sample packet. Well, on this beautiful packet, this little thing of coffee, on the back is their logo, and it says, changing lives one cup at a time. So I got off my judgment about that, and then I went back to, yes, that's what we're doing. That's what Ernest set in motion. That's what we do here at a Center for Spiritual Living. We are changing lives one thought at a time, one person at a time, sometimes one breath at a time. And you know what that's like when you're walking through the dark night of the soul. I mean, sometimes it's just, can I get through the next breath? With all the stuff that comes to us. So we get to change our lives, and sometimes we have to break the habit of being ourselves because the habits that we have aren't serving us. And some of those habits, maybe most of those habits, are based in repetitive negative thinking, based on repetitive negative experiences or habits and patterns that you may not have even consciously chosen, but inherited by the way you were raised, or because you've been in it for so long that you don't even know you're still doing it. So what he's saying, Joe Dispenza that is saying you need to break the habit of being yourself by not only thinking differently, but acting differently, so that your thoughts, your words, and your deeds are in congruence with that which you wish to experience, what you wish to outpicture. Speak now or forever hold your peace. So perhaps in thinking different thoughts, you also have to craft the words differently. And I don't mean that just in the sense of, this is a sweet case of semantics. Pick prettier words or flowery words or different words. You need to choose words, no matter what you're talking about, that are true to who you are, but also create that feeling for you. Some words sparkle more than others. Some words have the fire in the belly. Some words bring a clarity of mind and heart. So you need to choose the words that work for you, which is, again, why we pick different affirmations, and we have classes, and we have books, and we have all of this, so that each one of you, as the individualized expression of God that you are, can find a word, a skill, a tool that works for you, so that you are being your authentic self. So you are speaking your peace and being at peace. So with that, in the book, hot off the press, we ordered it. We have 2 left. I'm borrowing this one from the bookstore, and I'm being very careful not to, open it up. And I bought it for the bookstore. I was like, I should have bought more so I could have one. Marianne Williamson has a new book out. Now, I know you're all familiar with her from her classics, Return to Love, and from her work in A Course in Miracles, and also congressperson, possibly. Yeah. I feel like running back to Southern California, pulling up one of my old addresses, go, really? No, I lived here. Yeah. Well, anyway, she's, I'm not supposed to do church and state, sorry. I do truly apologize about that. I said that humorously, but wonderful New Thought author. Anyway, I'm borrowing that, and I just decided to read one of these today because it fits in this. This is a year of miracles, and it's daily devotions and reflections. So you could pick any day. You could start. I love the fact that it's not dated by a calendar, so you could start whenever you wanted. Because being the OCD person, if I bought this in February or something, I'd go, but I've already missed January. I can't start yet, and I'd have to wait the whole year. So this is done by. Is anyone else like that? It's like, but it's not January 1st. This is day 216. And the title is, Today I Communicate with Love, Not Fear. And it reminded me of your beautiful meditation this morning, so thank you again for that today, those of you who missed it. The word communication includes the word commune. If I communicate without communing, I do not communicate at all. Doesn't it seem perfect for a community town hall? I am responsible for the heart space between me and whom I communicate with. If someone feels attacked or judged or blamed by me, they will not hear me. I might speak, but I will not have been heard. Today I will find the innocence within myself and others, this place of holy communion before I speak. Then not only what I say, but how I say it will be heard as a sharing and not an attack. Now, I'm going to reread that because that's really speaking your peace from that peace. Today I will find the innocence within myself and others, the place of holy communion before I speak. Then, not only what I say, but how I say it will be heard as sharing and not an attack. And then she closes, each page closes with like a little prayer. Dear God, please help me communicate with love and not fear. Let me assure whomever I speak with of their essential goodness, even if they might have been wrong, for otherwise I will have been wrong myself. Amen. Rich, wonderful. I will take my bookmark out and put it back to the bookstore. Thank you. We sold one already. That means we only have one, but we'll take orders for more. An extraordinarily beautiful, wise, wonderful woman who has put together this reflections. And I love the fact you can just, that you've all done that, right? You've gone to a bookstore or the library and you're like, and then a book falls in your lap, or you take a book and you open it, and the page you read is exactly the page that you were meant to read. I believe that's what you can do with this book. You just open it and read and absorb her wisdom and her beauty and all of that. So what I was saying about speaking your piece and then not being at peace is, I was of the generation, actually not quite the generation, but the one right after it, that was, children should be seen and not heard. How many of you were raised with that? How many of you at least have heard that old phrase? Think about what that put into consciousness. Children should be seen but not heard. Now, if I just take that on its blank face value, I think that's the goofiest thing I ever heard, because who doesn't want to hear a kid talk about their dreams and their visions and their imaginary friends, and they're playful and they giggle at everything and they laugh and they do all? Why wouldn't children want to be heard? But I believe that my grandparents or parents or whoever it was, whatever generation that was around me, that they were raised in that, then they thought they had to keep saying that because that's what they were taught. So then they taught someone else and they taught someone else, and we all handed it down until, at least I believe now, it's not the average way to raise kids. But that was, even though I may not have been taught that, that was in their consciousness. And so I learned as a little girl, and I think girls get it a little more than guys did, don't talk. Don't speak up. Don't share your opinion. Don't speak your truth. And in my case, if you were a smart girl, if you really had intelligence, so you really did have opinions and ideas and things, that didn't fly. That was even harder. They didn't want to hear a smart person. And being a female, for me, that was my experience. Be still, be quiet, don't make waves. Now, maybe that was all meant in the concept of don't speak with your mouth full, or don't talk out loud if you're in a crowd, and, general courtesy and being polite and all of that, and how you do that, and don't act out in a store, and don't cause a tantrum. You don't want to make waves, and you don't want to make somebody angry at you. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Well, even if that were consciously said or implied, for me what happened was kind of it's a shrinking. You become, and you don't talk. You don't speak your piece. It all stays in here. And so you're not at peace. And as I said, I was listening to Reverend Kathy's talk, and I too have read Untethered Soul, and I was thinking about what we were saying, or what we've often said about the mind chatter, the committee, the one that talks at us. My theory that I'm playing with now is, I wonder if some of that comes from the fact that those of us who were taught not to speak had to have a conversation with someone. It had to be in there somehow. And so the people that I might have had these conversations with on the external world, since I didn't get to, either I didn't have siblings and you couldn't do it in school, and if your family said you're not allowed to talk about that, and at school you're not allowed to talk about this, and blah, 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 then you have conversations in your head. And you start saying the things that you need to say and hope that there's somebody in the committee who's saying something that you need to hear. And it does happen. And then you become an adult, and then there's all this, and then we have that committee, and then we have that voice, but gratefully, because we are spiritual beings, and then we do become mindful with our practice, that we start to become aware of what's going on, and we go, oh my gosh, those are all these voices and patterns and beliefs and opportunities by which I never got to speak my piece. And wouldn't that be interesting? As I said, this is my new theory, just in this month working with it and rereading the book, and it was something that Reverend Kathy said in her talk. It triggered. It was like, oh my gosh, if that's the case, if we each have committees in our heads, or the voice that we're doing, because we weren't speaking our piece, we do need to find a way to speak our truth in the world around us, but first and foremost within ourselves. And it goes back to Don Miguel Ruiz, his 4 agreements, that classic, and, be impeccable with your word. I believe most of the time that's interpreted or heard and received as being impeccable with your word. If I say, well, I'm going to pick you up at 12 o'clock, I'll see you on 12 o'clock Tuesday, that you honor that. Or I'm going to finish that, I promise, I'll do that project for you, I'll finish that up, and I'll make sure it happens, that you honor that commitment. Usually people talk about impeccable with your word being those agreements out there. I know that he also meant, and what I think is even more critical, is about being impeccable with your word to yourself. your word. Keeping your agreements, yes, meaning, okay, tomorrow I am going to clean out the garage, or I am going to go to the gym, I'm going to get up a half hour earlier and do my spiritual practice. Keeping those words as well, because we're really easy to go, oh, well, it's cold out, I'm not going to go to the gym today, or, the stuff. And we compromise on ourselves faster than we compromise on a commitment to someone else. So to me, there's three facets. So there's the word that we speak to someone else about an agreement and a commitment. There's the word that we give ourselves about maybe a project, a plan. I think that to be impeccable with your word goes back to in the beginning was the word, goes back to Ernest Holmes with the word, and it's the word that we speak to ourselves in our spiritual practice, to the creative law, about our truth, speaking our peace, crafting our needs, our desires, that which we want, healing the old beliefs and breaking that habit of being ourselves, because maybe part of what yourself is now is the conglomeration of who you thought you were supposed to be because of your mother, your father, your uncle, your aunt, your grandparents, your guidance counselor, your teacher, your first boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. And you're suddenly this mosaic of a person that you think is you. And maybe it's not. And I believe by going back to the passion of who you are and your purpose, your authentic purpose. Because as I wrote in one of the affirmations, there's something that you are here to do that no one else can do. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean if you're 20, that counts because you're 20. I'm talking about whether you're 60, 70, 80. You still are here for a purpose. You were created in the image and the likeness of God for a reason, and you're on this planet. And if you can pinch yourself right now and feel it, then you know you still have work to do. I don't mean labor work. You may be retired. You have a greater work to do. And if that work is simply and sweetly to be true to yourself, to speak your peace, to follow your bliss, then that's the bigger work. I'm not saying you have to, enlist somewhere or write the great next American novel, although you can. We'll be happy to have a book signing. I'm talking about the work that you are here to do, which may be to learn your true spiritual nature. It doesn't have to have a celebrity attached to it. Your work is to know that you are the beloved in whom God is well pleased. Your work is to know that you are this authentic self, and that which you are, think, feel, know, and act is an expression of God. And that no one, no thing can stop that. That you don't make waves. That you have something to give and to share. That's what this is about. So if the committee's there, maybe it's time to have a quiet spiritual practice. Sit down and have a meeting with them. We're having a community town hall. Maybe you need a town hall. Maybe you need to sit down with those voices and say, okay, you've been dogging me for years. What is it that you have to share? What is it you want to say? What is it you want to give? Let me learn from you. And let me learn from all of that. And let me put together for myself that which I know is my truth, my peace, P-I-E-C-E. So that I am at peace at what I do. So that, as she said in that book that I just handed away, communicate from and with love, not from fear. Well, I can't say anything because, not just out here. There probably is something that you haven't said to yourself because you may not want to hear the answer. But that's why we come together. So we create a safe, loving, creative environment by which you can hear what you need to hear and know that once you know that, you'll be given the tools or the support system and teams by which to make that happen. That's about passion and purpose. It really isn't always about a tangible demonstration. As I said, you don't have to go and change the world, but I guarantee you, if you get to the truth of who this is within you, you will change the world. You will change the world because you have changed you, and you are the world, and are we not one? So if even 51%, Ernest Holmes always says, if we can get to 51%, then we've got that shift. 51%, a shift in consciousness. If 51% of us Little old Chico Community New Thought Senator. Senator? Senator? I don't know why politics is coming up today. The Chico New Thought Center, if 51% of us could get to that place of authenticity, break the habit of being ourselves, small s, move into the capital S, big S of God's Spirit, if we could do that, we do change the world. We do change the world because we become a different instrument by which we, everywhere we go, we represent this truth. We create this, the waves that we make, woo, we want to surf on those. That's the beauty of what we do. That's the beauty of this teaching. I don't even remember. I know I had things to say, but I got all swept up by this. There was a quote I was given a couple weeks ago that really resonated to me, and I also found it interesting in contrast to the fact that with the viral respiratory whatever thing I had laryngitis for 3 days. That doesn't elude me, you guys. Just want you to know, okay? This quote is from Madeleine Albright, who was, in 1997, the first female to be elected U.S. Secretary of State. And as I said earlier before, the way I was raised, females were less than. Females didn't get to say things. They weren't supposed to. You were supposed to have a second place and be back. And I know that even though I was growing up in the ERA generation and women's lib and all of that, we still didn't have it, but I wasn't raised in that. So I was raised in. Madeleine Albright said, "It took me quite a long time to develop a voice. Now that I have it, I am not going to be silent." It took me a long time to develop a voice, and now that I have it, I'm not going to be silent. And I think that applies male, female, politics, not politics. And again, I'm not talking about some sort of like, I have a voice, and making a ruckus, although that may be part of it. I'm not putting that down either. I'm talking about I have a voice. I can speak my truth. I can be authentic to who I am in the world and know that I'm going to be safe. That you guys aren't going to throw things. That you're not going to shut me down. That there won't be ramifications and repercussions. And that I have a voice by which I may connect to my true, deep spiritual nature. And perhaps it's the same as that still, small voice of God. The one voice. Universe. One voice. One. So again, if each of us, or if 51% of us can get to the point where we are breaking the habit of being our little selves, moving into the big S self of spirit that we are, begin to speak our peace, our truth, we change the world. We're going to change our own world. And when we change our world, what happens? The world around us changes. We're not sitting there waiting for the world to change. We're not waiting for our spouse to change, our brother to change, our boss to change. Nothing outside of us. We're changing our thinking, our words, our actions, our space, our peace. That's how we do it. That's speak now or forever hold your peace. Speak your truth into the world. Become mindful and aware of what's being said inside you and around you, and move to a higher place whereby the still small voice of God is clear and sweet in your ear, and your words become honeyed on your lips, and you are speaking the truth. And then you're in congruence with thoughts, actions, words, deeds. Boy, do you imagine how sweet that would be, and how much less energy it takes to function in the world, because you don't have to watch what you're saying. Or what was all the old stuff about people saying you don't have to say lies because then you don't have to remember what you said to who. And you're speaking truth everywhere you go, and who you are speaks so loudly you don't even have to utter a word. That's what this is about. That's what I believe this year is about, our passion and our purpose. And I don't know if I have anything else in here. I'm looking. Yeah, I kind of said it. Eckhart Tolle said, "It is not uncommon for people to spend their whole life waiting to start living." So I don't know where you are, if you're 25 or 75. It's time to live your life authentically by speaking your piece to the Spirit within you, as you, into the universe, one word, the Word of God, and to know it. And whether you call it God or whether you call it the thing itself, Ernest, or Joel Goldsmith likes to call it the infinite intelligence. I think Mary Baker Eddy called it the adorable one. I love that. Wouldn't it be nice? I'm going to sit down with the adorable one and pray. Most people think I'm talking about my cat, but that might work in public venues. I'm going to pray with the adorable one. Whoever it is, however it is, whatever you call it, capital I, it, call it, let it speak through you and know this truth. Ernest Holmes says, abandon yourself to a complete faith in the power. Don't listen to anything that contradicts that power. I'd like to add, don't speak anything that contradicts that, so that your word reflects the higher truth that is within you always, always. Let's absorb that. I'm going to take us into prayer for a minute and process that. I'd like the licensed practitioners or ministers to please join me up front. They're standing with me in this truth. Now that you've seen who they are and you know where we are, let's close our eyes together. It's a simple act to just acknowledge the sacredness of what we're about to share. It also blots out the light, the distractions. It just helps one to focus. And when you hear someone say, let's go to center, that's really all it means. It's not some secret mantra. We go to the center of our being, where the still small voice of God has a chance to be heard and felt. So if there is within you a time where you were told or felt that you couldn't speak your piece, go there now. And whoever may be in that scenario, if you see them visually, you just remember them, bless them, forgive them, release them. And for being a part of that dynamic, forgive yourself. And know that there is no time like the present. Now is the most important time. It is the chosen time by which you are given voice to the greater idea of God in, through, and as you, for it can only know of itself through and as you. And as you're given freedom to know that, as you have blessed, released, and forgiven, begin to feel and sense and invite that state of peace, P-E-A-C-E, that grace, that calm, that knowingness. And feel and know that there is the life of God that knows of itself through you effortlessly, lovingly. And even if you can't quite feel that right now, you know that you're surrounded in this room by people of like mind who are knowing that with and for you as they are knowing it with and for themselves. So we come together in this collective consciousness of God by which to affirm a greater sense of peace. So that we speak in love. We listen with love. That we communicate first and foremost to ourselves with love. And we begin to speak the truth. We begin to hear the infinite wisdom of the universe and the intelligence of the ages. To know that and claim it as our own. So wherever it has been that we have been off track, off purpose, lacking some of that passion, now is the time to let it become one with us. And let that power, that passion, that purpose fuel and soothe all at the same time. So whatever it is that's on your mind's plate that needs attention, know that right now it is bathed in this light of truth. That the peace that passes all understanding, human understanding, is now yours to claim. It is that from which you may live, move, and have your being. So whether it is your physical body temple, your finances, your creative expression, your relationships, your creativity and output, any or all of those things combined, now is the time, starting here, starting now. Passion, purpose, peace. Passion, purpose, peace. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for allowing me to have the ears to hear this truth. No matter how long it took me to get to this place, hear it now. I hear it, I claim it, and I begin to use my words, my uniqueness, my individualization of God to speak my peace with, from peace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I breathe that in, I let that hold for just a moment. And I affirm and know what Ernest says, that my word dissolves every negative thought or impulse that could throw a shadow over my perfection. So I choose my words well and with love. Thank you, Spirit. I now release this service, this prayer, back into the infinite one mind from whence it came, the infinite mind that I share as one, and I lovingly let it be. And together we say, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are. Amen.